Welcome in to Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. We've got a live divisional round game day eve edition of the show here for y'all, and it's going to be guided by you, the fans, here in the comment section. Going to be checking in on everything y'all have to say, questions, comments, etc. Whatever you've got, drop it in the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. I'm going to try to hit them all. This show's all about y'all. You know, this has been a fantastic season so far. We're hoping that it continues. Have not been able to do a live show in a while due to time constraints, but wanted to get out here and just answer y'all's questions, have some fun with y'all. This is going to be a fun show. Probably going to go for about an hour here. Appreciate y'all so much for tuning in. Couldn't be doing this without y'all helping me earn a living over here. We've got John checking in with the Duval. Love it. John says 30-27, Jags pull out the W. We will see. We will see. I do think it's going to be a high-scoring game on both sides. Debbie Lynn, Jen Jag Mom checking in. Kevin's checking in, saying it was always the Jags. Carl's here. Let's go. Zach is whack, says yo. What's up, Zach? Spencer says any given Saturday. Absolutely. Cameron says, let's go. Love the content. Appreciate your support. Zach is wax says an hour of Gin Jag live. Love it. Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for your support. Couldn't be doing this without you, for real. You can hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo, Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. You can also do some super chats out here if you want to. Really appreciate it. But I'm going to let y'all guide this show. So questions, again, comments, concerns, whatever you've got. Jaguars at Chiefs. It's 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, 3:30 Central, where the game will be being played. Kansas City, Missouri. Mike Tirico on the call on NBC. Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth. You have Melissa Stark on the sideline. Saw an awesome send-off this morning, right? Bunch of Jags fans went down to the stadium, see the team off as they headed to the airport. You love to see the support from the city. That was awesome. Awesome. They've also got a watch party the Jaguars do going on tomorrow that they're hosting in partnership with the city of Jacksonville. It's going to be at Daly's place down there at the bank. So if you're interested in being with a bunch of Jags fans, you can certainly do that. That should be fun. Love it. All right. Kevin's got a question. Our first question of this game day eve live show. Fired up to be here. Kevin says, who is the biggest factor of this game for us this week? It's got to be Trevor, right? I mean, the quarterback is the most important position. We know the Jaguars are going to need points. If you're going to talk about a singular player that has to perform well for the Jaguars to win this game, it's got to be Trevor Lawrence, right? No player is going to impact this game more for the Jaguars, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But outside of Trevor Lawrence, because that's a gimme. That's a layup. 1 foot putt. Who is the biggest factor for the Jaguars outside of Trevor Lawrence? There's a lot of different ways you can go with this. I wouldn't go with anyone on the offensive line specifically because I think everybody on the offensive line is a big factor. But at the same time, all three guys on the interior dealing with Chris Jones are going to have a really tough task. You could go with like Christian Kirk. You could go with Evan Ingram. I think you could go with Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker. I would probably say Josh Allen, honestly, because I think the key to this game for the Jaguars defense, they've got to create pressure with four pass rushers. If you consistently blitz Patrick Mahomes, he's going to kill you. It's been proven time and time again. Now, the Jaguars are going to have some zone blitzes in this game, right? They're not going to not blitz, but it's about picking and choosing your spots. It's about not spamming that too often to where Patrick is comfortable. You want him to be uncomfortable. So you want those blitzes, those zone blitzes to be, few and far between. You want to disguise them. You also want to have simulated pressure, which means you want to show that you're going to blitz 5, maybe 6 guys, but you're really only bringing 3 or 4. You want to do a lot of things to try to just muddy the picture for Patrick Mahomes a little bit, and you're not expecting to stop Patrick Mahomes in this game. You're just trying to slow this offense down. And I think Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, they have big opportunities against Orlando Brown and Andrew Wiley. I think both of those guys can win some matchups and create some disruption with their physical ability and the way they're playing at the edge position right now. John says Jags D line versus KCO line. What do you think? Yeah, I was just talking about that, and I think what's really interesting too, beyond just Josh Allen and Trayvon and even Arden Key as your rotational pass rusher, who's been just fantastic lately. You've got Devon Hamilton and Foley, obviously, who you're more concerned with them stuff in the run, but Roy Robertson Harris. I mean, this guy has been on a warpath over the last 5 weeks. Can he do anything in this game? It's a tough matchup for him because you've got a really stout interior for the Kansas City Chiefs. You've got Creed Humphrey at center. You've got Trey Palmer at right guard. And then, of course, Joe Tooney at left guard. It doesn't get much better than that in the NFL. So the Jags, a team that's been one of the best pass rushing teams in the league over the last 6 weeks, they have a really tough matchup there. And I think they're going to need to get theirs for the Jaguars to win this football game. Carl says, how do you limit Chris Jones? I think you get the ball out quickly. I think that you give him attention. And I know giving him attention is taking attention away from other Chiefs players, other stars for the Chiefs up front. Frank Clark, who is one of the all time leaders in sacks in the playoffs. Yeah. So I get that for sure. But I don't know how you're going to. I don't know how you're going to slow him down other than trying to avoid him and giving extra help. All right. Ewan says Trayvon Walker coming out party. Yeah, I think he could have a really big game. That would not surprise me one bit. Trayvon Walker had a fairly good game last time against the Chiefs. He's coming off a big performance against the Chargers. Obviously, had the mistake where he got penalized, and you can't have that, obviously. But hopefully, he's gotten that out of his system now. It had been a while since you saw a Trayvon Walker penalty like that. Hopefully, it'll be a while till you see another one. Made by Jake says, "Hey Jordan, what do you believe is the most effective way to minimize Mahomes Kelsey combination?" I don't think it's easy, and I don't think the Jaguars have a lot of good answers for it because they struggle to cover the tight end position, regardless of who's playing the position, much less Travis Kelsey, who's an All-Pro, a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. Um, I think it'll be interesting to see how they try to limit Mahomes and Kelsey. Um, do you just try to close off the middle of the field a little bit and leave your guys outside, Darius Williams and Tyson Campbell, uh, to their matchups? Maybe you do that. And if you can do that and do that effectively, maybe that helps out a bit. But I also think just slowing down Patrick Mahomes, it's going to be about creating pressure with four, but also not over pursuing and not getting out of your rush lanes because you saw them. They were creating pressure last time against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. They were getting out of their rush lanes, and it was allowing Patrick Mahomes to just quickly escape the pocket and get upfield. So, yeah, I would say you got to be aggressive, but you got to be smart at the same time, and that you got to walk a fine line when you're playing the Chiefs. It's difficult to do. Not a lot of teams do it at a high level, but again, it's not about stopping the Chiefs. It's about slowing them down. It's about being able to create a turnover or two here or there. It's about getting a sack here or there. It's about getting a third down stop here or there, right? It's not about stopping them all day. You're not going to do that. You can't expect to do that. Cameron says, "Are you still involved with Jags Media?" Yeah, usually during the season, I don't do as much stuff media wise in terms of going down to the stadium and going to practices. I've just got other stuff going on. But you can bet I will be out there for training camp this upcoming year, and we'll see how things progress here. And it's just really about how much time I have to devote to being down at the stadium every single day. And I've pretty much decided at this point it hasn't been worth it to go down there for me every day when I've got the shows going on here. I've got a lot of other things going on. So Just haven't been able to make the time to be down there every single day. But yeah, absolutely. Um, Bruce says key is key. Yeah, Arden Key is going to be a key. He's been fantastic for the Jaguars this year, especially since DeJuan Smoot left with his injury. Arden Key's really stepped up. He's got more playing time, got more pass rush reps, and he's really been on a tear for the Jaguars as a pass rusher. And yeah, he will be one of those guys. Key is key. Steve Combs, my stepdad, checking. Is there anything the Jags can adjust to deal with Casey's tight ends? Yeah, I was just talking about that. It's going to be difficult. You could try to close off the middle of the field with more bodies, but we'll see how they try to play it. It's going to be a chess match between Mike Caldwell, Jaguars defensive coordinator, and Andy Reid, of course, on that side of the ball. Um, Caldwell didn't have many answers last time, but last time the Jaguars defense was a different defense. You had Trey Herndon and Buster Brown splitting reps at left cornerback. Tyson Campbell on the other side was doing just fine, obviously, has been all year. He's been fantastic for the Jaguars. But now you've got Darius Williams playing outside, Trey Herndon in the slot. It makes a lot more sense for both players. They're playing a lot better. Trayvon Walker is playing better than he was at that time. Josh Allen is, of course, as well. Really, the entire defensive front. And then you've also got Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma playing better football than they were in the middle of this season. So I think there's a lot of reasons you can look at um, for optimism for the Jaguars defense. But again, the optimism shouldn't be, oh, the Jags are going to go and shut out the Chiefs and not allow the Chiefs to put up a bunch of points. That's not the goal. The goal is to try to give yourself some opportunities to make plays and get off the field and give your offense the ball back. If you can do that a few times throughout this game, you should have a chance. Kevin says, nice to have pressure, but have to put him on the ground. Yeah, much easier said than done with Patrick Mahomes. He's a wizard in the backfield. He's one of the most difficult players to corral, one of the most difficult quarterbacks to get on the ground. So much easier said than done there, Kevin. But you're hoping for it. The Jaguars have had 18 or 19 sacks over the last 6 weeks. Again, one of the best pass rush units in the NFL right now. No question about it. Nash says, I think ETN may be the most important player to have a big game outside of Lawrence because if we control the ball for a long time. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's fair. I think it's going to be difficult for ETN to have a huge game because game script could make that difficult. The Chiefs defense could make that difficult. They've got a good defensive front. They've got Nick Bolton, who's a fantastic run defender at middle linebacker. So the Jags had an opportunity, I think, to run the ball a little bit more last time they played the Chiefs. ETN was averaging over 4 yards a carry, but they just got down so much early and they just decided to go into full on passing mode. And that worked for them for the most part. The Jaguars offense was moving the ball up and down the field against the Chiefs defense. They struggled in the red zone. They struggled with field goals. Cam Robinson had the illegal man downfield. They got the touchdown called back. There was a bunch of different issues and errors. I mean, the offensive line was getting manhandled last game. They've got to step up and play a little bit better. When I say last game, I'm talking about last game against the Chiefs. So yeah, there's a lot there to look at. Debbie Lynn said somebody on Twitter said they may move the watch party to the stadium. Gotcha. Okay. I haven't seen that yet. If that's the case, make sure to check it out. I'm sure the Jaguars are posting it on Twitter, all their different social media accounts. So yeah, make sure to check that out. But if you're going to Daly's place or going into the stadium, probably shouldn't really matter. Um, you'll find your way to some seats and a big scoreboard to watch the game there. Gerald says, on defense, is the Jags secondary going to play zone or man? They like to play more man when you're talking about third down. They also like to get into zones and run zone blitzes. So I think they're going to mix it up, honestly. I don't think that you play one coverage against Patrick Mahomes all day. I think you consistently mix it up. I think you try to have some post-snap rotations. They'll play cover 3. They'll play cover 1. I think you try to have some post snap rotations where, again, you're just trying to muddy the picture a little bit. So it's just not quite as easy for Patrick to pick up on what you're doing. Because if you consistently do the same thing, he is going to know exactly what you're doing. And I just don't think the Jaguars defense has the pieces to match up with the Chiefs offense doing it that way. And there's not a defense on the planet that really probably does. At least not that I've been watching. I mean, maybe talk about San Francisco. but this is one of the most difficult offenses to stop. No question about it. All right. The dude says, who gets more snaps, Muma or Lloyd? Lloyd, I believe, has been outpacing Muma lately. Um, but we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. I think they want, all things being equal, the Jaguars want Devin Lloyd to be the starter because he's just more physically gifted. He's a longer football player. There's things he can do on the field that are really special, but it's just about the mental processing. And Lloyd's coming off a really good game against the Chargers, one of his better games of the year, in my opinion. Um, so maybe Lloyd gets more. Yeah, he had 49 snaps against the Chargers. Devin Lloyd did, and Chad Muma had 21. So they certainly leaned on him a lot more against the Chargers. In week 10 against the Chiefs, they had actually, Devin had more snaps in that one too, 38-25 in favor of Devin. So I think you probably point at Devin Lloyd as the one who will get more snaps again, because as long as he is handling everything mentally at a reasonable level, the Jaguars do want Devin Lloyd on the field. Like, he is the guy that they want to be the starter out there next to Foye Oluokun. Kevin says Walker Little in the O line will have a big test. Absolutely. Been talking about it. Big test. And another thing that's changed about this game from the last time these two teams played, Walker Little is now the Jaguars starting left tackle. And obviously Cam's injured. Walker Little didn't, take over the left tackle spot because of poor play by Cam by any stretch. But Walker Little is now the Jaguars starting left tackle for the rest of the 2022 season, for the rest of the playoffs. And he's coming off a fantastic game against Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, where he didn't allow a single pressure. I mean, Walker Little, he's been getting the job done in pass pro. He's been getting the job done as a run blocker. He's big. I mean, he is a mountain of a man out there. It is a big test for him. The Chiefs' defensive front, it's not just Chris Jones, right? Carlos Dunlap is still a really good player. Frank Clark is still a really good player. We'll see how healthy he is. Mike Dana, George Karlaftis has come on strong. The rookie out of Purdue, the Greek freak, like, they have a lot of guys up there. Kalen Saunders. So it's going to be a challenge. You're right, for the Jaguars offensive line. I think hopefully the answer to that is getting the ball out quickly and being able to run the ball a little bit. Because if you can do that, then you can kind of slow down the onslaught from that defensive front. Kevin says it's a really big test for us. I'm excited. Can't have mistakes. Got to play up to the competition. Absolutely. Yeah, the Jags, they can't revert back to like being a super penalized team, or they certainly can't lose the turnover battle 0-5. They certainly can't go down 0-27. Like, there's a lot of things that they can't do in this game. You're right. Tequila Mockingbird says first to 35 wins. Could be. I think it's probably more likely whoever has the ball last wins, quite honestly. That's what happened Jags Chargers last week. I would not be surprised if that's what happens again this week. And whether that's 35 or 40 or 30, whatever it is. Jeff says using speed on Orlando Brown is important. Yeah, Orlando Brown struggles. He's not a great athlete. He's a massive human, one of the biggest tackles in the league, but he's not a great athlete at the position. So yeah, you can use athleticism, not just speed, but athleticism and quickness to take advantage of Orlando Brown. And the Jaguars do have that advantage with Josh Allen, with Trayvon Walker, and even Arden Key. Ewan says, think they should utilize the 3 safety package this game. Wingard is an excellent blitzer out of this scheme. They've got a lot of good blitzers, man. I don't think sending anybody on the blitz is really an issue at this point. But yeah, if you want to get Wingard involved a little bit, I don't have a problem with that. It just needs to be smart. Kevin says, I would say the first to 40 wins. Yeah, could be. Ken says, D needs to show up with the big pass rush. They got an interception on one of the few times we had actual pressure. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes made an ill-advised read. Andre Sisco was there waiting for it. And those are the types of things that you're trying to force them into. Stephen Combs is saying, what's the deal with Trevor's toe? There is no deal. He's good to go. He suffered that toe injury, back against the Lions where it looked like it might be a serious injury, but he's just been dealing with that ever since a little bit. But I don't think it's affected his game at all. Kevin says, "Do you believe that this game will come down to stops in the red zone and third down stops?" It very well could, uh, but the Chargers last week, they were almost 50% on third down, while the Jaguars were 2 of 10. So it might not, because I also think aggressiveness, right? Doug Peterson, he's going to be aggressive. Jags are going to be going for it on fourth down. Not saying every time, but they're going to be going for it on fourth down. But yeah, red zone is always huge. I mean, that's a key to every game. No question. Kevin says both are solid and will be great because of all this experience. Sorry, not who sure who we're talking about there. Ken says, I think Doug needs to throw a bunch of reversals and stuff to get the run established. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think you'll see plenty of the close to the line of scrimmage, get the ball in your playmaker's hands type stuff quick. Yeah, I think you'll see plenty of that from both teams. Michael Hamilton says, I wish they let Cisco play like he did in Syracuse playmaker mode. I mean, he's been a playmaker for a lot of this year. And there's been some interceptions he had every right to come down with that he just didn't quite come up with. I think he's been in a pretty good position to be a playmaker. And they did a great job of putting him in position to be a playmaker last time they played this very team, Kansas City Chiefs. When he had the big interception, he had multiple big hits on Chiefs receivers that, in my opinion, were legal, led with his shoulder. So yeah, I love it. Jeffrey says, feeling an Agnew return touchdown. Yes. I believe this is a game and shouldn't come as a surprise, right? Like, this is do or die. This is win or go home. This is taking down the big dogs in the NFL. I do believe that there's going to be some fun on special teams. And we have not seen a Logan Cook pass in a couple years. I think that could be on the menu. I think the Chiefs probably believe that could be on the menu, so maybe you try to trick them and break tendency with something there. Also, yeah, you don't need to get tricky with Jamal Agnew on special teams, but I agree with you. Jamal Agnew, he's been damn close. I mean, he's been playing at that all pro level as a returner for the last month or so, and he's been really close to breaking some. And I do believe that he has a chance to do that in this one. So, yeah, that'll be fun to watch. Jamal Agnew, could you imagine if his first return of the season was in the playoffs against Kansas City Chiefs? Gerald says, I'm a little worried about the refs deciding the game. You got to be worried about that every week, unfortunately. NFL officiating is at an all time low, in my opinion. They've got to fix it. Kamel says, can we shock the world? Look, I predicted the Jags to shock the world here. I've got them winning 32-31, but I've said this all week since I decided that I believe the Jaguars could win this game. I think the Jaguars beat the Chiefs 1 out of 3 times they step on the field. And they've already played them once. So I'm giving them a 50-50 shot, and I'm just going with the good guys here, right? But they're hot. The Jaguars are hot. The offense is rolling. The defense is getting pressure, forcing turnovers. I think I think it's a legitimate game. Like, this is, I think, the matchup of the weekend. You've got Andy Reid, the master, Doug Peterson, the apprentice. Patrick Mahomes is like a fire breathing dragon. He's whatever you want to call him, the best quarterback on the planet. Trevor Lawrence is hot on his heels, in my opinion, and in terms of rising up the ranks. And where is Trevor right now among quarterbacks in the league? Probably top 5. He's getting up there. Only his second year, first year under Doug Peterson. I think it's going to be fun. Kevin says, great content. Appreciate you, Kevin. Appreciate everyone for being here. It means the world. Thank y'all so much. Alex Thorpe, one of the good buddies, checking in, saying, Duval. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, Alex. Murtaza says, what's your thoughts on Sheriff First Jones? Sheriff hasn't met expectations. I agree that Sheriff hasn't met expectations. He's been injured. He's been battling through it the last month plus. But he struggled a little bit more before that than you would have liked to see from an $18 million tackle from guard, right guard, for a guy that has made the Pro Bowl so often throughout his career, 5 out of 7 years before coming to Jacksonville. You see the high level plays from Sheriff, no question. You see that he's smart, all that stuff. But there's just a couple plays every game where you're really disappointed in the result coming from Brandon Sheriff. So I don't love that matchup. I think the Jaguars should try to figure out a way to try to remove Jones from the game, and it's difficult because he's in the middle, right over the center of the guard, or in between them in the gap. So it's difficult to do that, but the Jags got to try to throw something at the Chiefs to mitigate the impact of Chris Jones. If you do too much of that, you could run into some other issues where um, Spags can take advantage of you for being too one dimensional. So we'll see how it goes. Bruce says Muma doesn't seem to need the same amount of instructions as Lloyd does. Yeah, I think that was fair to say early in the season. I think Devin Lloyd's coming off a really damn good game, and I'm gonna give him his flowers for that. A great playoff debut for Devin Lloyd last week. Alex says any issues with Trevor's hand from late last week? Saw this. No, and that's his non-throwing hand too. So I don't think there's been any issues with it. Real life says I believe in Duval. Love it. Jeff says I'd look for Lloyd to take some edge blitzes, maybe a quick. Yeah, Devin Lloyd. I think that he will get blitzed in this game. I agree on some zone blitzes. He got a sack, I believe, last time. He either got a sack or a big tackle in the backfield on a zone blitz. Christopher's checking in. I'm stoked for the game. Says, do you think Etienne will have a rushing touchdown? That's an interesting prop. Will Etienne have a rushing touchdown? It's tough to say. It's really tough to say. I don't know how often the Jaguars will turn to the run, although I think they should give them a little bit of a balanced attack here, which would obviously limit Patrick Mahomes' time on the field and help you sustain drives, take pressure off Trevor Lawrence, all that fun stuff. I don't know. I think there's a decent chance. I probably wouldn't predict it though. I'd probably say 30 to 40% ETN gets in the end zone. But I do agree he might have a game. We'll see. But it's going to be on Doug trying to get him to the ball. He's got to. I think he could be a mismatch too out of the backfield. And the Jaguars haven't used that a ton this year. But I agree. ETN, he's one of those guys that can change this game. Can change any game for the Jaguars. Sasha says, I think the performance of our D-line will be critical. Hopefully RRH has another great game. Yeah, absolutely. And he's been playing like an all-pro the last few weeks. Great mistake, Boza says Tyson will lock down anybody. I don't have any argument for that for the most part here. Certainly not anybody on the Chiefs that I think if you put them outside one-on-one versus Tyson, are you going to be super worried about it consistently? I think you worry more about the short stuff, the getting the ball into playmakers' hands quickly, all that. You do have to worry about the deep ball because you've got Patrick Mahomes, you've got Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Juju can go deep too, even though he's not a speedster, but he can come down with some catches down the field. Kelsey can obviously burn you down the field. And they've got speedsters like Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore. McCole Hardman will not be playing in this game. So that is a little bit of a relief for the Jaguars defense because he was proving to be one of the most fun slot gadget players in the NFL early this year before he got his injury as like a third option on the offense. Ken says if Doug doesn't get coach of the year, get rid of the award. It has no meaning. I think there are some other guys that deserve credit. Obviously Brian Daboll, all the teams that have gotten the top seeds in the conferences as well. Those coaches have done fantastic jobs. But yeah, Doug has just as much argument as anybody else for that award. I mean, taking a franchise that picked first overall 2 years in a row, and now you're in the divisional playoffs, a divisional round of the playoffs. Love it. Real life says we need to execute. That's the key to winning. Yeah, I mean, it is because, and I know everybody's like, well, duh. But I think the real point there is like the coaching staff is going to give this team what they need to execute, most likely. Like on almost every play, there are answers for the problems that are being posed to the players on the field because of the schematic advantage that the Jaguars coaching staff has been giving its players. So yeah, it's down to the players. Execute the damn plays. They're there to be made. Execute them. I'm with you. Ben says, anyone else feeling kind of sad that this may be the last ride tomorrow? Well, I would not. Yeah. DTWD says, Ben, get that energy out of here. Yeah, I wouldn't be looking at it that way because even if the Jags do lose tomorrow, uh, which I don't think you should have that energy at all. You should be feeling confident about your football team. They've won 6 games in a row, okay? They just beat the Los Angeles Chargers in the divisional round or in the wild card round of the playoffs. They just beat the Tennessee Titans in a win or go home week 18 playoff game for all intents and purposes. This is a team that's been facing the odds and beating them all year. They are well coached. They have a really great young quarterback, and they have a lot of talent elsewhere. So yeah, I would say get that energy out of here. But no, I'm not sad. I don't think anyone should be sad about the game tomorrow. People should be amped. They should be pumped up. And if it is the end of this year, it's been a hell of a ride. People should be thankful for this ride, and people should be thankful for what looks like it's coming up ahead down the pike with Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence in Duval County. So, and not a lot of people nationally are giving the Jaguars any sort of chance. I know that. I get that. But I think an interesting way to look at this outside of the, fantastic coaching chess match on both sides of the ball. I think that when you look at the talent on these two teams, I think the Chiefs have clearly the 3 best players in this game. Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, Travis Kelsey. I if you want to debate that, I think you're just being a homer. But the next 15 to 25 players in terms of how good they are, I think the Jaguars have a big chunk of those players on their roster. Like, this is a talented football team. And not only are they talented, they are being put in positions to succeed by Doug Peterson and Mike Caldwell right now. All right. Christopher says we need to make Mahomes uncomfortable. D line needs to be destructive. Yep. Spencer says, I got a question. Do you think the Jaguars will lose to the Chiefs? No, I just said that I think that they're going to win. Maybe you asked that before I answered that. Ben says, DTWD. To be fair, I believe if we win next week, we're going to the Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, if the Jaguars win next week, they would be going to the Super Bowl. But I guess you're probably talking about tomorrow against the Chiefs. I'm not sure there. All right. Chase says just a little boo boo on Trevor's finger. Yeah, no big deal. Shay says, I think Christian Kirk versus those DBs will be a mismatch. 10 catch game for Kirk coming up. Yeah, I think Christian Kirk is going to have a big game. I think part of that is just he's a baller. He's the featured receiver in this offense, and Trevor Lawrence loves throwing the football. Doug Peterson loves designing things to get him open and helping him get open. But I think Christian Kirk is going to be really upset about that drop he had at the beginning of the game last time these two teams played. That play, had that gone differently, maybe that game goes a little bit differently because that puts you down inside the scoring zone and gives you an opportunity to strike quickly. He wasn't able to haul in a perfect pass down the field. It could have been slightly more in front of him, but it hit him right in the hands. Like, he didn't have to turn back to catch it. It was a great throw by Trevor. But yeah, I think Kirk is going to pop off. Kevin says, do you think Campbell gets a pick? I think if Patrick Mahomes tries to test him a bunch, he'll get a pick. But most teams just stay away from Campbell a little bit. And I think the Chiefs will probably do that to a certain extent. Alex says, can't let Kelsey kill us. Yeah, that's true. Although tight ends have been killing the Jags all year and they're still winning some football games somehow. But yeah, Travis Kelsey is one of the best to ever do it. Spencer says, what should the plan be to stop Kelsey? I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to sit here and have a game plan for stopping the most productive tight end of all time who's catching passes from one of the best quarterbacks of all time, who's getting plays called by one of the best play callers of all time. I'm not gonna pretend to know how to stop that, but I would say you could try to jam up the middle of the field. You could try to bracket him. A lot of the things that you can do to try to stop Kelsey opens up other things, though. That's kind of the nature of the beast with the Kansas City Chiefs and with the Jaguars offense. Like these two offenses come from the very same place. They're not dissimilar. They just have little different wrinkles that each guy has implemented over the years. All right. DTWD says beating him up in the parking lot, talking about Kelsey slowing him down. Yeah, I don't advise that for anyone, but that would be one way to do it. Bruce says Ingram has wowed people. He had been improperly designated a bust, without question. I'll go on a little bit of a rant. Most players that bust don't bust. They were improperly evaluated, or they were not utilized well by their coaching staff and developed by their coaching staff. Most players that bust, I blame it on the coaching staff more than the players. And now that is not always the case. There's absolutely players that have busted, guys that just don't take the job seriously, and guys that have immense talent that just don't take it seriously. And those I believe are busts, and I believe those that is on the player, etc. But yeah, Evan Ingram was not one of those guys. He's an incredibly hard worker who went to one of the most difficult media market to play in, New York, and they hadn't had a lot of success with him around. He was a first round pick. Uh, hasn't played with very many great quarterbacks. I mean, hasn't played in any great offenses lately. Prior to joining the Jaguars, it had been pretty stale in New York for a few years since Eli retired. So yeah, he was absolutely improperly labeled a bust. And he's come to Jacksonville. He's going to get paid. And he got paid this year, right? I mean, he got $9 million this year. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing to shake a stick at. But he's going to get paid this offseason, whether it's by the Jaguars or someone else. Ingram is getting paid. Jacob says, let's pull off the upset, baby. Let's go. Absolutely. Mike says, however this game ends, W or L, I want to say thank you, Jordan, for providing us with amazing content this season. I really appreciate that, Mike. That means the world to me. I have really been doing my best, putting my best foot forward. I don't think I'm like an expert on any of the specific areas of the game, X's and O's, analytics, but I try to improve my knowledge of all those different things. I try to understand what's going on with the stories inside that building and just bring it to y'all. And that's my goal, to just keep improving all the time. That's what I'm going to keep trying to do. So I really appreciate the kind words, Mike. We got a super chat here from Christopher France. Says, love your channel, watch every day, believe in Jags. Thank you so much, Christopher. Really appreciate the support, y'all. Jay Winter says, Chiefs message board is dogging Jags like the Broncos did in 96. Guess that's why they play the game. Yes, I think that's something I did want to talk about here tonight. The Chiefs fans, and look, it's funny. My in-laws, full disclosure, are Chiefs fans. Love them. Love them. And they are reasonable Chiefs fans. But there's Chiefs fans out there that, oh my goodness, I agree with you. They're just being absolutely obnoxious, out of control, all that stuff. But that's fans. Like, you're going to have that anywhere. Fans can be annoying. Certain fans will be annoying. That's just what they're going to do. But the thing I wanted to talk about, Broncos in 96. I don't think it was just the fans in 96. I don't think it was just the media in 96. I don't think that the Broncos respected the Jaguars. I don't think they thought the Jags could come in and beat them. I don't believe the Chiefs feel that way. I think the Chiefs are well coached. I think they fully understand what the Jaguars are capable of from a talent perspective, from a schematic perspective, and from the aggressiveness perspective and factor. Doug Peterson adds an element to the game that you don't have to deal with every coach. Many elements to the game, but the one specifically I'm talking about is the aggressiveness. And so they know that. The Chiefs know that. The Jaguars are going to get the Chiefs' best tomorrow. I mean, the Chiefs might not be perfect, but it's not going to be because they didn't prepare or they didn't believe that the Jaguars could come in and give them a football game. The Chiefs absolutely know that the Jaguars can do that because they watched the tape from last time. That game was closer than the scoreboard indicated, right? The The Jags had every opportunity to be in that game at the end, and self-inflicted wounds ended up costing them. Okay, Ben said, "I meant if we beat the Chiefs, we're going to the Super Bowl." There's another game to play after that, and it's gonna be against the Bengals or the Bills, so, I would not. I mean, I get the point, like, you're saying if they beat the Chiefs, ain't nobody gonna beat them in the AFC. I get it. I wouldn't be so quick to say that. Mike Bennett says, "Snead can't keep up with Kirk, he'll get cooked again." Yeah, I agree. Gerald says, "Any predictions in the other divisional games?" Yeah, I think it's a fantastic slate. I'm so excited for it. You've got, New York Giants at Philadelphia Eagles, right? I think everybody expects the Eagles to win that game. I expect the Eagles to win that game. But while the Giants don't have Trevor Lawrence and some of the things the Jaguars do on offense, they're scrappy. They don't go away. They have a tough defense. They're well coached. Daniel Jones has been playing efficient football. He's been putting his body on the line. So I'm excited for that game. I do predict the Eagles to win that one, though. We've also got Cowboys and 49ers, which is a matchup we've seen a lot lately. I'm excited for that one. Everyone's on the 49ers, Brock Purdy, all that. I'm taking the Cowboys because I think they have the better quarterback. I think they're the underdogs. I think they're going to have this mentality of us against the world, and I think they're every bit as talented. I think that Dan Quinn is a really, really great defensive play caller and schemer, and I think he's going to have something in store for the 49ers in that one. And I think that one's a coin flip. Really, I do. I kind of believe in Dak Prescott and the Cowboys in that one. And then the other contest we have in the AFC, the Bills and Bengals. I picked the Bills. They're at home, and the Bengals, they have offensive line issues right now. And I know they had offensive line issues last year when they went to the Super Bowl. So I don't feel great about not picking the Bengals. I like the Bengals. I would prefer the Bengals to win, not because I would rather the Jaguars play the Bengals or anything like that. Just like I like the Bengals more than the Bills. I like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and all those guys. But I picked the Bills because I think it's going to be a tough game for the Bengals with going up against the Bills defensive front, down three offensive linemen. I don't know how easy that will be for the Bengals, but we'll see. I think it's going to be a fantastic week. I think Bills and Bengals is a coin flip. I think Cowboys and 49ers is a coin flip. I think Jaguars and Chiefs is a coin flip. I think the Eagles are going to beat the Giants, but I think the Giants will probably give them more of a test than some people expect. Got a super chat way down there from Debbie Lynn. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right. The dude says, "Feed Evan Ingram the ball early and often. Let's go." Yeah, that's one thing. The Jaguars hadn't quite figured out how much of a cheat code Evan Ingram can be in the Doug Peterson offense yet when they played the Chiefs last time. They're fully aware of that now. And so, yeah, I think they will continue to feed Evan Ingram. What does Spags do to try to take away the Jags passing attack? I don't know. Does he focus his defense on Evan Ingram? Does he focus it on Christian Kirk? I don't know what he does. It's going to be interesting. Ken Hill, where do you rank Trevor right now? He is at an elite level, in my opinion, but what number? Yeah, so it's interesting. Like, what is an elite quarterback in the NFL? That's a whole other road to go down. But I would rank him. I would take Patrick Mahomes, obviously. Everybody would probably take Josh Allen. But futures like entering 2023, who do I want to be my starting quarterback in the NFL? I don't think there's two people I'd rather have than Trevor Lawrence in 2023. You could argue Burrow, you could argue Allen, maybe Jalen Hurts, maybe Lamar Jackson, maybe Dak if you really want to go down that road. But I would take Trevor over just about everybody not named Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not saying that for this weekend. For this weekend, I would probably take Burrow over Trevor. But moving into 2023, it's Patrick Mahomes. That's pretty much it. All right. Robert says, "What's up, Jordan? Checking in from Pittsburgh. You going to the stadium? You watch the game?" No, I'm not going to. I'm gonna hang out with some friends at the house. Enjoy it. Jackson says, "No one gives us a chance because they can't see the past. They can't see past the Jags logo. They'll find out on Saturday what this team is about." Yeah, you hope that's the case. And you hope maybe there are some Chiefs in that locker room kind of not taking the Jags as seriously. Like, oh, Patrick Mahomes doesn't lose in the divisional round. We're not going to lose this football game. So we'll see. TGWDC says, yes, please don't actually beat up Travis Kelsey in the parking lot. Jay Winter says, Jags 42, Chiefs 38 on a last minute drive by T Law to win it. That is a lot of points. And there's something we haven't talked about on this stream yet here. We're expecting snow. How does that impact things? Right? How does that impact things? Let's pull up the KC weather for the latest update. So yeah, it looks like it could be snow. Looks like it could be sleet, rain. Temperature at kickoff is going to be around 35. So it's going to be interesting to see what type of impact weather has on this. Great mistake, Boza says. Ingram says he wants to come back. Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't he want to come back? Trevor Lawrence throwing him the football and Doug Peterson dialing him up plays to get him open. I would want to come back too. And Trevor Lawrence was talking earlier this week too. He loves playing with Jawan Taylor. So are the Jags going to pay both of those guys? Are they going to figure out how to do that? We'll see. John says, Duval, I'm looking forward to feeling this more in years to come. Absolutely. Chase says, I hope many of these guys take team friendly deals. Yeah, and team friendly, what does that mean? I just hope that both sides can agree on reasonable terms. I don't want these guys like not getting paid what they deserve to get paid to an extent, but I also would love to keep them around Jacksonville. So Chase says, I hope. Oh, yeah. I just read that, dummy. Zach is Whack says, you and T-Wig at Locked On Jags are godsend. Thank you so much. T-Wig is one of the best. Love Tony Wiggins over there, Locked On Jaguars. One of my good buddies in this industry. Absolutely. Debbie Lynn says, very, very proud of you. Thank you so much, Mama. Duval Knoll says, Jags win 31, Chiefs 30. Excuse me. Jags win 33, Chiefs 31. Go Jags. Yeah, I said 32-31. I think it is going to be whoever has the ball last. Bill Sims says Brady knocked Mahomes out of the playoffs in his second year. Sure did. That was in the AFC Championship. Watched that game. I remember it well. Bruce says, you have helped keep me informed since I've moved from Jacksonville to Poland. I greatly thank you. Wow. Well, I hope you're doing well in Poland, and I really appreciate you listening, Bruce. Jeff says, whole NFL community already talking about next week. I'm over. Yeah. For all the people who are conspiracy theorists, it's really easy to kind of look at what has happened with the ticket sales and the focus of the media and all that, and say like it's already written in stone. It's going to be the Bills and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that the NFL is rigged. So that's just the way I look at it. I think for the NFL to be rigged, it would be like the greatest con job of all time, like bar none. There's just no way. It's impossible. T Gallery says, who you got, Chiefs or Jags? I just said it. Jags, baby. It was always the Jags, right? John says, Jags about to shock the world. Kevin, it was always the Jags. The Great Mistake says, Dak's a very smart quarterback. A lot of his turnovers have been dumb luck. Yeah, no question about it. I love Dak Prescott. Very underrated quarterback. Jonathan says, please win. T Gallery says, if you think the Jags beating the Chiefs, you're delusional. All right, well, call me delusional. That's fine. John says, I wish my mom would give me $10. LOL. I'm sorry, John. Hit Debbie Lynn up. Maybe she'll throw you a 10 spot. Kevin says, like the stream chat. Awesome. Brett says, Duval. John says number 4 in the NFL, talking about Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, I think right now that's probably fair, but legitimately going into 2023, talking about Trevor Lawrence going into his 3rd year, 2nd year in Doug Peterson's system, and having Doug Peterson calling the plays and having this group of players around him, I think I would take Trevor Lawrence next year over everyone except for Patrick Mahomes. I really would. He's still growing every week, like every play. He's still so young in this NFL and in this system. Like he's not anywhere near where he's going to be from a mental standpoint. You can see it. You can see it growing. Zach is whack. Zach is whack says Jags beating the Chiefs might as well start your morning. 407 says I think the Jags going to beat down the Chiefs like the Bucks did in the Super Bowl. We'll see. That would be quite the sight. Goodness gracious. The Chiefs' offensive line was not in the same situation that it is now during that Super Bowl. So that's going to be tough to do. But Harry says, wow, what if the Eagles and Jaguars? Who is the best coach? Between Sirianni and Peterson? Is that the question? I'm not sure. Kevin says Trevor Lawrence is top 5 easily. John says Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, T-Law. Yep. Colin says, just subbed. Good luck. Thank you so much, Colin. Appreciate your support. Jug says, I'm taking Trevor over Josh Allen every day. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I long term, I definitely would too. I'm with you. Zach is Wex says, good point. Can't see past the Jags logo. Sasha says, would the Jags be better matchup against the Bengals or Bills? Mm, I haven't studied them enough, like really studied them enough lately to say the answer to that question. Um, I kind of want to say you would rather play the Bills than the Bengals, but that depends on how the Bengals O line holds up. I need to see that. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Um, I don't want to play Joe Burrow, right? That's a guy that has ice in his veins. He's got such talented weapons to throw to. And I also don't want to play Lou Anarumo. That is one of the most underrated defensive coordinators on the planet. Lou Anarumo is a fantastic defensive coordinator. They've got a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. I'd rather play the Bills, assuming the Bengals' offensive line holds up reasonably. But we'll see how that plays out. Kevin says, T Gallery, please don't start trolling. This is not your scene. We don't need to worry about trolls. We're all having a good time here. Jeffrey says, as someone who lives in Wisconsin, snow has been very melty, but also wet. So IDK, what to expect? Yeah, we'll see how it goes. 407 says, if Burrow can beat the Chiefs and Casey, the Jacks can definitely beat them. We'll see. We'll find out. Antoine says, I always wondered why does Lloyd get the fast label and Muma doesn't. I believe Muma runs faster. Okay. I think that they're about the same when it comes to their speed, quickness, all that stuff. I want to say I think Devin has a little bit more twitchiness to him, but Chad's got that too. I think the real difference is Devin Lloyd's length is really, really impressive for the linebacker position. And so when you talk about a guy with his length, with his reach, combined with his athleticism, I think it just allows him to make some plays that a lot of other linebackers couldn't make. And also his ability to diagnose things when he is comfortable and knows what he's doing, knows his assignment, feels comfortable with what he thinks the offense is doing. And he's been growing into that throughout this year. You saw it last week against the Chargers. He played really well. So, yeah, I agree. I wouldn't necessarily say Devin Lloyd is faster than Muma, but they're just different athletes at the position. Jeff says, do you know what year the team out in Cam's contract? Yeah, and you're not going to love it. It's not this upcoming offseason. It's the following offseason. So the Jags have a little bit of a logjam at tackle right now. We're going to see how it plays out. But not to worry about that right now. KCG says, lifelong Jaguar fan from Hawaii. Let's go Duval. I'm repping hard in Hawaii. Love that. That's so cool. John says, hopefully these refs aren't non-existent on pass interference calls like last week. Yeah, the way the officials, not only if they make some boneheaded mistakes like with reviews or anything like that, but just the way they officiate, holding, the way they officiate pass interference, all those things. It's going to have a huge impact on this game. Um, the Jaguars know who the official is. It's Sean Hockley. They should probably be studying that crew, trying to figure out how they call games. I'm not positive off the top of my head, so we'll see how it goes. Christopher says, Ohio love, go Jags. Nick Sweet says, according to Chiefs fans, every Jaguars player will walk out of the stadium deaf. Never thought I'd find Chiefs fans annoying, yet here we are. Yeah, I mean, every fan base is going to have some folks that kind of grind your gears a little bit, but overall, I think the Chiefs do have great fans. And yeah, being deaf, like, no, I've been in that stadium multiple times. I don't think that they're gonna go deaf. I was not wearing earplugs in the thing. Like, it is loud, it's impressive, like, it's crazy, but I don't think you're gonna be deaf leaving that field. I don't think I'm not too worried about it. But I'll tell you what, my ears were ringing a couple weekends ago after that one in Duval. That impacted my ears and my throat for a while, no doubt. Um, Cass says, I had a dream that Trevor had a game winning touchdown and he celebrated at Joe's KC barbecue. Duval. Love it. Is Joe's the play? There's a lot of good barbecue down there. A lot of good barbecue. Joe's is good, no doubt. Jack Stack is good. A lot of good ones. A lot of good ones. Keck W says, good luck tomorrow, man, from a Chiefs fan. Appreciate that. Good luck to you, too. I just hope that the NFL, this should be a fantastic game. Like, this should be one that people remember for a while. It's a really good matchup, and I hope that weather permitting and both teams show up and that's what we get because fans deserve that. The divisional round is one of the best weekends for football all year, maybe the best. Colorado Jags fan says, "I hope his Jags Bengals just pisses me off." Yeah, I'm good with that too, as long as it's the Jags. Joe says it ain't over till we say it's over. Hell yeah. Doug Peterson, coach of the year. I'm with you. There's other guys that are right there. Steve Combs says, would you spell that as delusional? Love it. That takes me back to high school. There were lots of plays on DeLugo. Delusional, Deluser, DeLovely, lots of different ones. We're going to end it there, though. All right, Ken Hill, it's always the Jags, DTWD. Boys will never quit. That's one thing you can definitely say. This team is resilient. They do not quit. So yeah, you should get a full helping of Jaguars busting their ass tomorrow. B Town says checking in live from Korea. How about that? Thanks for checking in. Steve says, speaking of delusional, I'm predicting Jags 41, Chiefs 38. John says, any update on the weather conditions tomorrow? Yeah, we were just talking about it. It's supposed to be wet. It's supposed to be in the mid 30s. So you could see snow, you could see sleet, you could see rain. I'm not the weatherman, but that's my analysis here. Nick says rather would play the Bills. Yeah, I think I would rather play the Bills too, assuming the Bengals offensive line is not in complete shambles. Joe Burrow not taking Zay Jones and Marvin Jones to the playoffs. Hey, Joe Burrow also doesn't have Doug Peterson dialing up the plays. Like, it's not all like there's a lot of differences here between the situation Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence is in. Debbie Lynn says, I like the Jags logo, but Gen Jag logo is even better. Hee hee. I'm not biased or anything. Appreciate that. Kevin says, we have to play the best to be an elite team. We have to play the best to be an elite team. You're saying the Jags have to play their best to be an elite team, or they have to go and beat the best teams to be an elite team? I'm not sure. Chris says, I think it's crazy that the last team the Chiefs beat that was over 500 was the Titans in week 8. That is kind of crazy, but it's also more about their schedule than anything else. It's not like they just started losing to good teams down the stretch. They did really well down the stretch, right? Both teams since their meeting in Week 10 are 7-1. So both teams have been getting the job done. I think if you look through the schedule, you might argue the Jags' resume over the last 8 games is a little bit more impressive, but the Chiefs have a lot more than 8 games to rely on. They have been really good for a really long time. So yeah, I wouldn't read too much into that. Y Red says that's the first Jags logo on that hat, bro. Yes, it is. Love it. It is the logo that never was. All right. Chris says all the other teams have been under 500. Yeah, I'm not worried about that right now. All right. Angry Drunken German says evening Jags fan. Looking forward to a solid game. Thanks for checking in, Angry Drunken German. Colorado Jags fan says it's snowing here in Colorado now. Hope it stays away from KC. Hopefully. Angry Drunken German says games should be below 30s with very little participation. Should be low 30s with very little participation. Precipitation. Is that correct? I'm still seeing precipitation. Sorry, I'm not getting that word out well right now. Let's see. All right. The game is kicking off at 4:30 p.m. on Saturday, January 21st. 4 p.m. Says 36 degrees, rain/snow showers. 57% chance of precipitation. 5 p.m., 69%. 6 p.m., 70%. So yeah, it looks like it's going to snow. I mean, bottom line, it just depends on how much that is. All right. Antoine says, "Are we anticipating a restocking always the Jags t-shirts?" No, I'm not because the Jaguars just trademarked it's always the Jags, unfortunately. So that's not going to be a thing anymore for us. But it is what it is. We'll have plenty of fun stuff to still play with. Cal Bizzle says tomorrow is my 30th birthday. I'm really hoping the Jags give me a great birthday. I hope they do too, man. Happy birthday. Welcome to the 30 Club. I'm 31 myself. Hulk Smash Gamma says, fun fact, 8 out of 14 wins for the Chiefs were against teams below 500. All right. Angry Drunken German says, you realize KC had one of the toughest schedules this year, right? And also gives Hulk a compliment on the great name there. Having some little debates here in the chat with some people. Cal Bizzle says, checking in from Chicago. No better fan base than Duval. Let's go Jags, baby. Hell yeah. Glad you're checking in from Chicago. Hope you're staying warm. Nick says manifesting a Cisco pick six since Chiefs fans hate him. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. I think it would be so great. Chiefs fans just want to see this guy. They want to see him on a poster. They want to see Andy Reid attacking him and posterizing him and all that stuff. It'd be fantastic for Andre Cisco to come out and have a game. He's due for one. He has not had a big pick in a few games in a little while. Gets his hands on the football a lot. I think he's due for one. Got one last time. Love it. Not a pick six, but a pick, that is. Yrad says Jack's schedule was tough too. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. All right. Cody says it's almost that time. Can't wait till tomorrow. Yeah, absolutely. Less than 24 hours till the start of that football game now. Christian says going to be a crazy one. Jags for Life says we got to shake the NFL up with a W just for 50,000 tickets being sold to a Chiefs Bills AFC Championship game. LOL. Yeah, that's a lot of money that's going to exit the bank account if that's not the game that ends up happening. The NFL's bank account, trust account, whatever the hell they have. Carson says Trevor throwing for 607 and 0. Let's manifest it, Carson. I'm here for it. Cody says no doubt Jags for Life. I want all the talking heads to eat their words. I will say the Jaguars are generally at their best when they're underdogs throughout the course of team's history. So I don't think it's nothing to sweat. The talking heads They're not the people you should be listening to, anyways. Talk about football. Dr. Thunder Rule says Chiefs beat San Francisco, but I would contend that that was a different San Francisco team. Yeah, it was. Hulk Smash says sports media is trying to will a victory for the Chiefs. Some people are, but I've seen a fair amount of unbiased takes, in my opinion. Uh, People that are respecting the Jaguars, saying the Jaguars should cover in this game, 8.5 point spread, but not a lot of people actually downright picking the Jaguars, and that's fine. I mean, eh, people should respect the Chiefs. I get it; they've earned it. Nick says, take away the deep crossers and Kelsey and get Mahomes under pressure, and it's a W. Yeah, I think there was some coverage busts that happened last time that are less likely to happen this time for the Jaguars defense. So I like what you're saying there. Hulk says Skip said the Jags will win. Well, gosh, usually I don't even. Who cares what Skip says? IMO, right? I just don't care what he thinks about anything really. Nick Sweet says as long as the offense doesn't trip over itself, we will win. Yeah, I feel that as long as the offense doesn't trip over itself, the Jaguars will be in the game down the stretch. I agree with you. John says, I turned a profit on the +7 wins on the season, took the winnings and bet last week's game. Now taking those winnings on this one. We'll see if I'm $800 richer afterwards. Good luck with that, John. Pull them for you. Chase says Nick Wright and Rich Eisen have the Jags back. Yeah, Nick Wright did not pick the Jags this week, though. He said Chiefs would be the end of the line. And again, very reasonable. Don't know if Rich Eisen picks the games, but big fan of what he does over there. He's been patting Doug Peterson on the back all year long, really, really propping up the Jaguars while also uh, stomping on the grave of Urban Meyer's NFL career a little bit. Rich is a Michigan man. I cannot blame him one bit. Love Rich Eisen. All right. Angry Drunken German says you better have a healthy respect for a team that came back from 27 down, even if it's yep. Nick says if the Jags play their second half football for 4 quarters, there's not a team that could go pound for pound with them. That's a fact. If the Jaguars play the way they did in the second half of that game, the rest of the playoffs, they will win the Super Bowl. But that was an unbelievable level of football that they were playing at. Dr. Thunder Rule says the first half wasn't great, but seeing someone rebound like Trevor Lawrence did is pretty impressive. He's starting to look like he has the force. Yeah. Yeah. Trevor might be a wizard. He might be like Patrick Mahomes here. Got a long way to go, obviously. Patrick Mahomes he's advanced beyond Trevor's years. I mean, he's been playing football under Andy Reid for a half decade now. So Jags for Life says, I love being an underdog, but I don't think the Jags will ever have the favor of the media. It's always about how the other team messed up. I don't think that's true. I do agree that media talks about how the other team messed up too much. I get that. But I don't think that's true. I think as soon as this season ends, the media is going to be on the Jaguars next year. They're going to be picking the Jaguars to win the AFC South. They're going to be talking about Trevor Lawrence. How much can he ascend in year 2 in Doug Peterson's system? There's going to be excitement. It's not going to be the same excitement nationally as when it's like the Giants or the Jets or Rams, these big market teams, but that's just the way it is. But I do think the Jaguars will turn into a media darling in 2023. Carl says Nick Wright is a Chiefs fan. I don't know about that, but I know he's a big Trevor Lawrence fan. Nick says, except maybe San Fran. They're my Super Bowl favorites. Yeah, San Fran and Philly, both tough teams. I have the Cowboys beating San Francisco this weekend. Have the rookie miracle Cinderella run from Brock Purdy falling just short. But we'll see how it goes. It's a coin flip game to me. Oh, got the bots checking in now. Love it. So I have gotten through all of the chat here, and it's only taken an hour and 9 minutes to do it. We'll hang out for a little bit while longer. Got some stuff I've seen today we can just talk about, chat about here. Nick says Brock is not going to lose. AZ product representing. We'll see. Chad's asking about the Bengals and Bills game again. Who did I pick? I picked the Bills, but that's mainly due to the fact that the Bengals have 3 of their starting offensive linemen out. It's in Buffalo. I hope the Bengals win that game, but I picked the Bills. And not because I'd rather play the Bengals. I would actually rather play the Bills if the Jaguars beat the Chiefs, but I just like the Bengals more. All right. Dr. Thunder Rule says, I think the media does have some preferences for some other teams, but those get their due if they start winning, I guess. Money does rule. Okay. Uh, yeah, the media does care about the markets because if you talk about teams in bigger markets, more people watch, generally speaking. Angry Drunken German, Bengals win. Bills D is beat up and can't rush the passer without Vaughn. Yeah, like I said, I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong about this one. John says Luke Fortner has a back question mark. Yeah, I think Luke is fine though. Um, Angry Drunken German says Home Alone isn't afraid to take 10 sacks to get the win and deliver deep. I don't even know. Are we talking about calling Trevor Home Alone? I don't know. Rat Impact says Jags take the ball away more than KC. KC just gets sacks. Yeah, but they do get a lot of sacks, no doubt about it. Jags for Life says just think we will have Calvin Ridley next year, but who does he replace? I think Marvin Jones. Um, I don't know. Schematically, because Marvin Jones is really the possession receiver of this offense. So can Calvin Ridley do that? Yeah. But you also want to get him deep. You want to try to get him in space. You want to get him um, pushing the ball down the field. That's not really Marvin Jones's bag. Antoine says predictions for Lamar Jackson, Jalen Ramsey, DeAndre Hopkins, Josh Jacobs. Josh, I don't know. I mean, it's running back. That's crapshoot. Lamar, if I had to predict, I would still guess that he stays in Baltimore, but it's probably like 50-50 at this point. Maybe I heard somebody say it this week. I think okay, now Hulk is saying Lamar to the Jets. I think either New York teams would be fun. If the Giants decided they wanted to try to upgrade over Daniel Jones, which doesn't seem like they're going to do, but we'll see. That would be a lot of fun. I think Brian Dayball with Lamar Jackson would be just must see TV. Of course, you would want to surround him with a little bit more talent from a receiving perspective, but we'll see how that plays out. To the Jets, I mean, I like a lot of the skill players and stuff around him. I like the pieces, but we don't know who's going to be calling plays, right? I don't know. Evan says, I'm indifferent here, but do you really believe they have a chance? Like, honestly, they're tough in the playoffs and they're not a fluke like my Chargers had. Yes, I think the Jaguars absolutely have a chance. I think the first matchup between these two teams, when the Jaguars and Chiefs both weren't playing as well as they are now, showed that the Jaguars have a chance. Because I think who has made more strides since that football game, as much as the Chiefs have improved in certain areas of their team, it's without question the Jaguars. The Jaguars have improved more since that game. The Jaguars are 6-0 in their last 6 games. They're 7-1 since the last time they played the Chiefs. They were able to move the ball consistently against the Chiefs. They were able to force turnovers. What they were not able to do was punch the ball in the red zone and finish drives. Unfortunately, they weren't able to convert on field goal attempts, and they lost by 10 points. So yeah, I absolutely think the Jaguars have a real chance in this game. Carl says Trevor Lawrence plays better against better teams. Yeah, that's generally speaking been true. He played really well against the Chiefs the first time around, uh, but it's interesting talking about Trevor Lawrence versus like the top young quarterbacks in the AFC. He's 0-1 against Mahomes, has another chance to beat him tomorrow. He's 0-1 against Josh Allen, or excuse me, 0-1 against Joe Burrow. They lost to the Bengals last year on Thursday night. 1-0 against Josh Allen after the Josh Allen versus Josh Allen win. Really fun game and a really miserable year last year. And then he's also 2-0 against Justin Herbert. So, yeah, he's played pretty good against good teams. I agree with you. John says there's always a chance. Angry Drunken German says I could see D Hop in Green Bay. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that question. Sorry about that. D Hop, I mean, he said he wants to go to LA or Jacksonville. So that would be a lot of fun. Yeah. Jalen Ramsey, I do not see him coming to Jacksonville. I don't think he's really a culture fit with the current team. And not every player that you have on a roster like has to be, this just like nice guy that's just going to fit in with everyone and all that. But I don't see the Jaguars going out and spending for Jalen Ramsey or anything like that. And I don't think he would want to come back here. So I would put that to bed. Yeah, angry drunken German says I could see D Hop in Green Bay. Yeah, yeah, I could see that too. Jags fan for life says, I know it's weird, but would you give up Ridley for Hopkins? Ridley's younger, a lot less tread on the tires. I think like at their peak, you would rather have DeAndre Hopkins, but DeAndre's older. He's going to cost a lot more. You already have Calvin Ridley. I think in a vacuum, at their peak, you would take Hopkins, but based on this situation, I'd probably keep Ridley. Happy to have him here in Jacksonville. YRAD impact. Do Jags play man or zone coverage? They play both. They do like to play man coverage on third down and try to lock you down that way and just get home. They also like to send fire zone blitzes where you're playing zone and you have an extra rusher. They'll do sim pressures, where it looks like they have 5 or 6 guys coming and only 3 or 4 come, different things like that. German says the Jags D isn't good enough to stop KC, but if they can get turnovers, the offense is good enough to put. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. Like they're not going to stop the Chiefs all day. The Chiefs are going to get theirs. They're going to score points. But can you create some plays? Take advantage of some certain situations. Create some certain situations to take advantage of the Chiefs and force some turnovers and put some points on the board. Hulk Smash says Chiefs are the hardest team left. Get past them and go to the Super Bowl. Maybe. It's not that simple, but maybe. Matt says we finna jump on the Chiefs from the get-go like we jumped the Steelers in the 2018 playoffs. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jaguars are able to do that to a certain extent. But at the same time, this is a team that's proven time and time again this year that they're going to give the opponent a lead. They're going to spot their opponent some points. Does that script flip tomorrow? Hopefully. You don't want to see that happening, and you don't want to have to claw your way back into a game again, but that's what their MO is. German says, I think Bengals are the top dog right now. They're definitely up there. I'm with you. All right. Talking about some throwback uniforms, fun stuff. Yeah, I would love to see the throwback uniforms too. I've seen a lot of really good looking ones. I like the throwback mixed with the modern one with the more modern font that they created for the most recent jerseys. But I really think the font from the 2000s was awesome. Early to mid 2000s. I think those jerseys were like perfect. But yeah. Oh yeah, we got it. We got somebody in here just trying to get the Jags fans riled up. Float pool. Shout out to the troll in the chat. Yeah. You have Brandon Marshall coming out. I don't know if y'all saw this. Brandon Marshall was saying he thinks the Jags are going to beat down the Chiefs. Very interesting. Very interesting take by Brandon Marshall. I retweeted it, so you can go check it out. You can follow me on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. I'm also interested in this Riley Patterson redemption arc, right? Game-winning field goal last week. He's been, I think, 18 of 19 since the Jags played the Chiefs, and that was a game in which he missed 2 field goals, 2 big field goals for the Jaguars. So can he complete the redemption arc? I'd love to see that. Harrison Butker, the Chiefs kicker, interestingly enough, usually one of the better kickers in the league. He's only made 75% of his kicks this year. So he hasn't been his usual self at all. So that's been interesting. Both teams have great punters. Both teams have really good return men. I think special teams will be interesting. Can always be an area of the game that you don't really think about as much as a fan, but it ends up being one of the keys. You talk about Jamal Agnew or Kadarius Toney or Logan Cook or Townsend flipping the field. We'll see. We're going to wrap it up, though, here, guys. It's been an hour and 20 minutes. It's about dinner time here. Really enjoyed chatting with y'all, having some fun here, previewing this game. Can't wait for it. If you're looking for more of a structured preview of this game, Clay Harbor and I talked about it earlier today on Believe in Jags, which you can find on your podcast platform of choice, or you can also check it out on the Gen Jag YouTube page. You can also go check out my game preview from yesterday, the official game preview for Gen Jag here. I can't wait for it. Really, really excited. Excited to hopefully continue this thing, keep it going. Knock on wood. I've told y'all, I think the Jags have a really good chance in this game. I think they will keep it competitive, uh, without question. In my opinion, they will keep it competitive. They will fight. They will scrap. Doug Peterson will call a hell of a game. I think Trevor will play well. Think a lot of it's going to come down to the trenches. You know, can the Jags offensive line perform at a little bit higher clip than they did last time? Can the Jaguars defensive line perform at a little bit higher of a clip than they did last time? If so, the Jags, they're going to give the Chiefs all they want and then some. I can't wait for it. 4:30 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow on NBC. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark on the call. Hopefully it's a much better call than what everyone experienced last week that was watching from home. I heard that was abysmal, but I expect it to be a much better call. Could be snowing at the time of the game. It's the forecast calls for snow tomorrow afternoon/evening in Kansas City. So we're going to see how it plays out. It's going to be a fun one. Thank you so much for tuning in, Duval. Hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo, Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag. You can also like and subscribe right here on YouTube. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a show. Of course, if you want to get some Duval gear, you can check out genjag.com. We've got our Cardiac Cats tees available in black for the first time, available for pre-order. Those will probably be available through Monday, maybe Tuesday. I'll let y'all know. You can also check out all of our other gear, and you can become a member of the channel right here on YouTube. Again, thank you so much for your support this year, Duval. It means the world to me how much this channel has been able to grow. Haven't even been doing this for a full year yet. Can't wait. Go Jags.